It all started as a casual curiosity. Alex had seen countless advertisements for home DNA testing kits. Discover your heritage, they promised. With a birthday gift card burning a hole in his pocket, he finally ordered one. He spit into the small plastic tube, sealed it, and sent it off in the mail without a second thought. Weeks passed, and life moved on. Then, one afternoon, while scrolling through his emails, he saw the subject line, "Your DNA results are ready." Clicking the link with mild anticipation, he expected a colorful pie chart, maybe some interesting ancestral percentages to share with his friends. What he didn't expect was the second tab labeled DNA Matches. At the top of the list was a name he didn't recognize. Emily R. Predicted relationship, half-sister. Alex stared at the screen, heart beginning to race. There had to be a mistake. He had one sister, older, whom he had grown up with. His parents were married for over 30 years, until his father passed away a decade ago. This didn't make sense. He clicked on Emily's profile. Her face popped up. She looked to be around his age, with the same deep-set eyes and slightly crooked smile that he had seen in the mirror for years. A strange, almost instinctive familiarity washed over him. Still, his mind refused to accept it. He closed the laptop and sat back, trying to breathe. Questions swirled. Was this real? Did his father have another family? Had his mother known? Should he reach out to this woman? The results weren't just a novelty, they were a bombshell. That day, Alex's world quietly shifted. He didn't know it yet, but the story he thought he knew about his family was about to be rewritten. After days of restless sleep and endless rereading of the DNA report, Alex finally gathered the courage to message Emily. His fingers hovered over the keyboard as he drafted and deleted the same opening line several times. What do you say to someone who might be your sister? He finally settled on, "Hi Emily, I saw your name listed as a DNA match in my test results. This may sound strange, but it says we might be half-siblings. I'd really like to talk if you're open to it." She responded 2 days later. Her tone was cautious but polite. "Hi Alex, I saw your name too, and yes, it surprised me just as much. I'm open to talking. I've had questions for a long time. Maybe you can help fill in some blanks." Their first phone call was awkward but honest. Emily shared that she had grown up without a father. Her mother had never spoken much about him, just a few vague details. He was someone from out of town, married, and it ended quickly. Emily had taken the DNA test, hoping to uncover her ancestry and perhaps some part of the story her mother never told. As they compared notes, timelines began to overlap. Alex's father had been a traveling salesman in the late 1980s, often gone for business trips across the state. Emily was born in 1990, exactly 9 months after one of those trips. They started digging into family records. Alex searched old calendars, receipts, even his father's journals tucked away in the attic. Emily checked birth records and found her own birth certificate. Father's name, unknown. What had once been a digital mystery now felt real, tangible. A secret hidden in plain sight. Every phone call between Alex and Emily revealed new pieces of the puzzle, stories that matched too closely to be coincidence. Despite the shock, they found themselves drawn to each other. There was a strange comfort in talking with someone who had your eyes, your quirks, your laugh. It was as though a part of themselves had been missing, and now, slowly, it was beginning to surface. But there were still more truths to uncover, some that neither of them was prepared for. The more Alex and Emily dug, the more undeniable the truth became. One evening, Alex sat alone in his living room, flipping through an old photo album. His father, smiling beside a vintage car, stood in front of a building with a faded sign in the background. Eagle Inn, that name rang a bell. Emily had mentioned her mother once worked in Pinewood in the late 80s. He called her immediately. "I found a photo," he said, heart pounding. "It's him, in Pinewood." Silence. Then Emily whispered, That's where my mum lived when she got pregnant with me. The puzzle pieces fell into place with a thud. Alex's father hadn't just been a man who traveled for work. He had lived a hidden life, a secret relationship, a daughter he never acknowledged. Perhaps even a love he never fully let go of. Anger began to rise in Alex, slowly but steadily. How could his father, his hero, do something like this? He had always seen him as a man of integrity, a quiet leader in their family. Now that image was cracked. Betrayal settled in his chest like a weight. Emily was hurting too. She had spent her life wondering who her father was. Now she had answers, but they came wrapped in pain. She mourned the relationship she never had, the man she never got to meet. Worse, she realized that he had known about her existence and still stayed away. Together, Alex and Emily confronted the emotional wreckage. It wasn't easy. Some nights were filled with tears and silence. Other days they laughed over shared habits and eerie similarities. Both loved classic rock, both hated olives, both slept on their right side. Eventually, Alex sat down with his mother. With trembling hands, he showed her the DNA report. She didn't deny it. She just lowered her gaze and said softly, "I always knew there were things about your father he didn't tell me. I just never wanted to find them." The truth had been buried for decades, by shame, by silence, by fear of what might unravel. But now it was out, and while it hurt, it also offered something rare: clarity. Alex and Emily realized they couldn't change the past, but they could choose what to do with the truth. And that decision would lead to something neither of them had expected: hope. A few weeks after the truth came fully into light, Alex and Emily agreed to meet in person. They chose a quiet cafe halfway between their cities, a neutral space, free from history or expectation. Alex arrived first, nervous. He had seen Emily's photos and heard her voice countless times by now, but the thought of seeing her face to face made his hands sweat. When she walked in, it was like looking into a mirror from a different life. They both paused for a moment, studying each other, then, without a word, shared a gentle, awkward hug. It wasn't dramatic or tear-filled. It was tender, real. Over coffee and warm pastries, they talked for hours. What began as cautious conversation turned into laughter, memories, even tears. They swapped stories about their childhoods, one shaped by a father's presence, the other by his absence. But oddly, those stories didn't pull them apart. They drew them closer. Emily shared pictures of her mother, who had passed away several years ago. Alex showed her photos of his dad, smiling in family vacations, barbecues, birthdays. Despite the pain, they both agreed it was better to know the truth than to live in the dark. In the weeks that followed, Emily was invited to meet Alex's family. His wife, Julia, was warm and welcoming. His two kids, especially the younger one, took an instant liking to their new aunt. Emily brought thoughtful gifts, books, cookies she had baked, and a framed picture of her mother for the family shelf. For the first time in her life, Emily felt like she belonged somewhere. As for Alex, he started to see his life differently, not just as a son, a husband, a father, but as a brother, a protector. Someone who had a chance to give what his father never did: acceptance, connection, and unconditional love. They made plans for more visits, texted almost daily, and even joked about creating a sibling bucket list. Museums to visit, cities to explore, inside jokes to build from scratch. Their bond wasn't built on shared holidays or childhood bedrooms. It was forged in truth, chosen in adulthood, and deepened by grace. Some family is born, some is found, and this one they chose to keep. Months passed, and what began as a shocking discovery turned into something beautifully unexpected: family. To celebrate the bond they had formed, Alex and Emily planned a gathering. It would be the first time their two worlds came together. Nervous but hopeful, they chose a weekend in early spring. Emily brought her partner, close friends, and a few relatives who had supported her journey. Alex invited his mother, wife, children, and even his older sister, after carefully explaining everything to her. The reunion took place in a cozy lakeside cabin surrounded by blossoming trees and quiet water. The atmosphere was filled with nervous energy at first, but soon the sound of laughter and stories replaced it. Plates clinked, kids ran between conversations, and strangers slowly became something more. Alex's mother was quiet during the first hour, but when Emily approached her and offered a simple, respectful hello, something shifted. The older woman nodded, reached out her hand, and said, "You have his eyes." It was the start of healing neither of them had expected. That evening, under a soft golden sunset, Emily stood with Alex on the porch. "I used to feel like a piece of me was missing," she said softly. "Now I know I wasn't missing something, I was just waiting to find it." Alex smiled, his eyes misty. "Me too." As night fell, the family gathered for photos, awkward poses, silly faces, spontaneous group hugs. Emily stood beside Alex, arms around his children, and in that moment, everything felt right. The past hadn't been perfect. It never would be. Their father had made choices that left pain in their wake, but the story didn't end there. From that brokenness, something new had grown. A sibling bond, a blended family, a future rooted in truth. The DNA test had opened a door neither of them knew existed. Behind it wasn't just a mystery solved. It was a life enriched, a connection restored, a new beginning. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We're sharing more heartwarming family stories just like this, full of hidden secrets, emotional reunions, and life-changing discoveries. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Whether it's the next part of this story or a brand new journey, you'll be the first to know. Your support helps us keep telling meaningful stories that touch hearts. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next chapter might surprise you.